Hello everyone, welcome back to the session 2 of the Global Marketing Management module. Before we set off, let's have a look at the session objectives. We have 3 key learning objectives. 1. Be able to define and understand characteristics of multinational organizations and also globalization. Number 2. Be aware of proactive and reactive motives for going international. Then also recognize selected global trade data. Alright, to start off the session, let's have a short recap of what we looked at in the previous session with regard to globalization and global organizations. And also in the next few slides we are going to discuss some of the points that we touched upon in the last session, elaborate them and try to understand them better in a more international or global context. We said a global orientation of an organization is when the organization has its operating markets in different countries. It may be manufacturing in many different countries and regions. It may obtain finance from global sources, may have multiple ownerships, may conduct not only home country research and development, but in regions, different countries around the world, they may be involved in research and development. Also, these organizations most often will have global management teams, i.e. different boards or different teams of managers made up of different nationalities. So we looked at what is globalization and few characteristics of a global entity. So in summary, what is a multinational enterprise or multinational organization? An M&E is a company, a corporation which owns and operates income generating assets, or in other words, revenue centers in more than one location. And in doing so, these organizations could be engaging in production in different or multiple locations other than its home country production facility. It could have a production facility in each of the markets that they operate in, or it could be shared amongst regions, 2-3 countries clubbed together. And then they have sales and distribution of goods and services across national boundaries. Therefore, a global company is an organization which operates in more than one location and views the world or the number of countries, the markets that they operate in, as their wider scope of operation or as a marketing unit. Now, in doing so, these organizations have two options: standardize products and services across the market, or adapt according to different regions, countries, cultures, etc. Or the third option, a combination of this. So I'm sure now that you understand in an overall sense what it means by a multinational enterprise. But let me caution you on one point. Some of these organizations, although they are present in multiple locations outside their home country, they tend to still control all these locations, multiple locations with their home country decision making or home country policies, and the management team could be from entirely made up of home country nationals. Well, there is a danger because that really lessens the impact or the culture of the organization as a true global entity. The reason being, they tend to carry the home country thinking, beliefs, culture to these other markets as well. But in true multinational sense, when you look at true global organizations, they tend to have many different nationalities involved in the management teams, and they have different policy making or decision making teams in these different locations, thereby not being influenced by the home country thinking or the culture. What drives organizations once they embark on an international journey? Once these companies enter the international market, what enables them? What are the factors that drive them? If you recall, in the previous session, we spoke about two key reasons why organizations take the option of going global. One, growth. Number two, we said survival. For either of these reasons or a combination of these reasons, when these organizations get on to the international platform, there is a multitude of factors that drive these organizations or enable them to go forward on the international platform. If you take for an example transportation, 50-60 years ago transportation and communication was not at today's level. It would have been a real tough task once you go international, communicating between regional officers, branch officers, distributing products across these national boundaries over the seas. Would have been taken a longer period, would have been quite difficult to coordinate. But unlike few decades ago, today the technology has improved so much with satellites, globe spanning TV networks, internet, where you have not only to the ability to reach your consumers through the internet, but online sales, two-way dialogue. You have regional economic agreements such as NAFTA, SAARC. You're quite familiar with SAARC, the European Union. So within these trade blocs, there would be either low tariffs or zero tariffs, enabling free movement of goods and services across these boundaries, which was not there few decades ago. Then another factor, common market needs or common market wants, common elements that people come up with, different markets, but the needs and wants are quite similar. So you have the ability to communicate, you have the ability to transport, and therefore you have the opportunity to satisfy these needs not only in your home country, but once you go international, it becomes a wider market for you. We touched on transportation and communication as key drivers. Look at this. Tourism, world tourism has tremendously improved during the last couple of decades. If it took you 1 month to travel from Colombo to London, would you be interested in going on a vacation? Or if it's under 15 hours, would you consider going on a vacation more often? Teleconferencing, video conferencing, all of these have enabled organizations not to even travel, cut down travel, but talk to officers around the world on a daily basis. Transportation technology has improved so much. Today you can find fresh vegetables and flowers grown in Sri Lanka, within 24 hours, it's in the London market. So you have opportunities for Sri Lankan growers, for Sri Lankan farmers to sell their produce in a faraway country within 24 hours. Look at the product development. Generally, product development is a costly affair. It takes quite some time. It takes quite a cost. But when you look at the market, if you know that you have quite a wide market where you can sell your products in, then this product development cost become a product development investment. So the cost becomes an investment rather than you view it as a cost. You have a wider market, your payback becomes shorter and your revenues become much higher. But let me caution you, global marketing, my last point, does not really mean or always mean operating all over the globe. A recent study showed a 200 billion pharmaceutical industry, 75% of revenues were coming from just 7 countries. So you have two different sides here, but yet going global for, say for an example, products like Coca-Cola, for Toyota, for now if you take Mercedes or BMW, they have a much wider market than their home countries. Another key driver is the improvement of quality. Every time new products, most of the time when new products enter the market, it raises the bar for all competitors. Take for an example a Mercedes or a BMW or an Audi car today versus 40 years ago. Today's technology has developed so much, everybody is concentrating on quality, giving a quality product. Low quality products do not survive really in most of these international markets. World economic trends had created opportunities. Also, the dynamics of world economic trends have in fact reduced resistance to foreign firms in international markets, giving them equal opportunities or wider opportunities than what was there 40-50 years ago. Leverage is another key driving factor behind globalization. If you look at most of these international organizations, M&Es, there is a lot of experience transfers like management practices, best practices, centers of excellence, economies of scale, giving them pricing advantages, synergies in production, optimum resource utilization. Use all the facilities that you have, use all your resources to the optimum level rather than letting them idle in any of these markets or regions where they operate in. However, I should caution you that always it is not enablers that you will encounter, but there could be restraining factors that can either slow your progress or make your organization a failure in the international market. A key factor is the short-sightedness of the management or management myopia, where most of the time, for an example, the top managers try to satisfy the stakeholders by going for short-term profits. So they give a higher priority to short-term profit than long-term progress. Another factor is the organizational culture. For an example, ethnocentric outlook or thinking that your home country thinking, knowledge, values, beliefs are far superior to the culture or the thinking or the knowledge of the people in the markets that you operate in. So you tend to push out your home country thinking, decision making, policies and ways of working, management practices to these other markets that you operate in. It could really end in failure. When that happens, most often than not, you forget or you fail to appreciate the local market conditions, including culture. Another key restraining factor could be the controls and the barriers that you encounter when you enter international markets. Tariffs, taxes, non-tariff barriers, various barriers, legal or financial barriers that are created in order to maybe to safeguard their native businesses. So you have to understand and you need to appreciate the fact that you need to be on the lookout for possible restraining factors that can slow down or make your organization a failure in the international market.